My name is Colin Austin, and I'm inviting you to join me in changing the food system, the Alternative Food Project. The facts are that across the globe we are suffering from a health epidemic of diabetes, obesity, strokes, dementia, etc. Every 12 seconds someone has a limb amputated from diabetes. This is not some new infection, it is man-made by food which is high in sugars and fats, low in nutrients and contaminated with toxic residues. This food is promoted by clever, psychologically manipulative and deceptive adverts featuring artificially beautiful people. To my mind, this is just plain wrong. I know it is perfectly legal and we think we live in a free society where people can choose the food they eat. Maybe. But this is not the type of society I want to live in, or more importantly, my grandkids and their grandkids to live in. So I want to create an alternative food system where people can enjoy food which is genuinely healthy at a reasonable price. My wife Shulan is a medical doctor, a baby doctor or gynecologist and surgeon, but nevertheless she became diabetic and was well on the road to becoming a blind cripple. We are told by the experts that diabetes cannot be reversed. It just gets steadily worse, requiring stronger and stronger medications just to control the symptoms, and she would probably die young from a heart attack. Now, I am an engineer and innovator. I was recently recognised by the Australian Institute of Engineers as one of the top 100 innovators in Australia for my pioneering work on computer-aided engineering. But to be an innovator requires much more than technical competence. You have to be able to look at the established thinking and say, that just does not make sense. You have to be a paradigm buster. You also have to be able to put up with failure after failure and keep on going until you get it right. I am as obstinate as they come. As a successful innovator, I've enjoyed a life that most people would envy, but I simply cannot spend the rest of my life until my body is used for medical science, or at least compost, playing bingo when people are sick and dying from a deceptive food industry. I simply have to use what is left of the intellect which enabled me to become a world leader in innovative technology to create an alternative food system for those that actually care about what they eat. But the facts are non-debatable. When I was a kid, there was no diabetes or obesity epidemic. Most people were lean, and although they were fat people, they were fat and healthy. Something has changed. But what? Combining my engineering and my wife's medical know-how, we concluded that gut biology, which is part of our intelligent control system, plays a crucial role. In plain language, it goes into panic mode and starts storing fat where it should not be stored, like in our vital organs, particularly the pancreas, which leads to diabetes, and the brain, which leads to dementia. Our solution: go on a diet to restore the gut biology, and the result is that Shulan is no longer on the road to becoming a blind cripple. Problem solved? Yes and no. For us, yes, but what about all those millions of people sitting in the hospital waiting rooms to have their legs chopped off? I think no. Despite what some people say, life is far better now than when I was a kid. That was real struggle street. The internet is fantastic. It gives people access to an overwhelming amount of information, which they just could not access in any other way. But there's a dark side to the web and modern life. We are bombarded with information which is simply not true. But if people believe these truths and manipulative advertising, it makes a few people very rich. This is what happens in the food industry, where food full of fats and sugars, lacking in essential minerals and contaminated with toxic chemicals are promoted as healthy, which is true only if you think being a blind cripple is healthy. Is this the sort of world I want to live in? Or more importantly, I want my grandkids to live in? But what can I do? Well, first I created a growing system which grows food which restores gut biology. It is called Biofoodie beds, which feeds the healthy biology in the soil. So when we eat greens freshly picked from the beds, it helps restore our gut biology. I now grow vegetables in biota beds. Even though I'm 80 years old, I'm still fit and healthy. But what about all those diabetics in the world? What about all those older people worried about approaching dementia? And perhaps more importantly, what about all those nursing mums? The future of humanity depends on nurturing healthy kids, yet childhood obesity is a growing problem. I can't change the world's food system by myself, but if I can persuade enough people to join me, then at least we can set up an alternative food system where people concerned about their health can create an alternative food system. So what do we need to do? Create a social revolution where people can buy food directly from farmers who they can trust to grow food which is free of toxic chemicals, rich in nutrients, and above all, beneficial biology. Sounds simple, but there are a few problems to overcome. Farmers are normal people with all the normal bills to pay, so they have to be able to earn a fair living. I've tried to make the biota beds as automated as possible, and typically I can go away for 4 weeks, leaving my beds unattended. But there are weeds and insects, and the cheapest way of dealing with these is to use those toxic chemicals which do us so much harm. It's perfectly possible to grow food without these toxic chemicals, but the simple fact is it is more labour intensive than modern chemical industrial farming. However much I try, I just cannot find a way of producing food for health cheaper than using all those toxins. This is just a reality. So I have to find a solution by a different way, and there's a way if people cooperate by forming groups. Farmers are lucky to receive about 20% of the retail price of fruits and vegetables. The other 80% is simply getting the produce from the farm to your table. $1 million manipulative advertising campaigns, mega salaries for the top executives, and of course profits, which largely go to the finance industry. If we are going to develop a viable alternative food system with food at a price people can really afford, we have to reduce that 80%. I would like to see the figures reversed, so the farmers get 80% and only 20% is spent on distribution. I know, I live in Bundaberg, which is a major food producing region, and there is incredible waste and cost in the current system. There is on-farm waste as the produce is inspected and sorted, and anything which does not meet the inspection standards is discarded. Then the remaining produce is shipped to Brisbane, some 400 kilometres away, where it may go into a warehouse waiting distribution. Then it is driven all the way back to Bundaberg, put on a shelf in the supermarket, waiting for people like me to buy it. They may call it fresh, but all that time in transport and storage, it is slowly deteriorating. The shorter the time from when the produce is picked to when it is eaten, the healthier and tastier it is. It may sound simple, just set up a system where people can buy directly from the grower. But let's get real. Who is going to drive 400 kilometres from the city, say Brisbane, to a farmer, say in Bundaberg, to buy one cabbage? It is just not going to work. True, there are some certified organic growers who will home deliver, but the costs are so high it's out of reach for most people, and it's not just the rich that get diabetes. However, there is a way we can make it work. The answer is the cluster, group, tribe, call it what you will, but just a bunch of people getting together to create the power of the wallet. Humans are very good at forming tribes. This is how we survived when we came down from the trees. We don't have big teeth or claws or run very fast, so we're easy prey for lions or any ferocious beast. But we found that if we clumped together and all threw stones at the lions, they would just simply nick off. The humans who did not learn this lesson just did not survive. Our ability to work together is the reason we are the dominant animal on the face of the earth. Forming groups is an essential part of human nature. So step one is for a group of people who are into the Food for Health project to get together and form whatever sort of group they are comfortable with. This could be on the web. I created the Food for Health Bundaberg group on Facebook, and there's already a Food for Health Brisbane group. They can make contact through the various health clinics for diabetics and nursing mums, or the old-fashioned way of just talking to friends, who in turn talk to friends. I was a pioneer of Wicking Beds. I spent no money on advertising, but people tried them and they worked, and now they are used throughout the world. People just talking has immense power. People can always link back to the www.pick and eat shop website and my older site www.waterright.com.au, where there's an abundance of technical information on how the way we grow our food affects our health. Then, once the groups are formed with significant purchasing power, they can seek out the growers, preferably those already involved with regenerative agriculture, and persuade them to grow food in nutrient-rich, biologically active, salt-free of toxins. Maybe we can establish micro-farms within the city where underemployed or retired people can earn a respectable living. In my studies, I have visited many traditional societies where older people live a useful life growing food and caring for the young and providing beneficial services for the community. So much more sensible than the way modern societies fail to take advantage of the skills of their elders. Members of the group can introduce prospective growers to biota beds, which is the most cost-effective way of growing biologically active produce. They can then refer them to me at the Pick and Eat Shop website, where I can help them with the technology. When they have a cluster of growers, it is time to start operations. The biofoodies decide what plants they want. There are many healthy plants from around the world, other than the spuds and cabbages. We only eat a small percentage of the edible plants available. They can log into the Pick and Eat Shop website for the growers to consider. The growers then put up a list of plants they are willing to grow, how much and what they want to be paid. They may be happy to grow and sell the common plants on spec, while for little known exotic plants they may want some form of advance payment. Community supported agriculture, CSA, is an established process which is becoming more popular. Then the biofoodies and the growers agree a harvest and delivery schedule, how many days and which days of the week will be harvested, and delivery days. The growers post all the produce they will have available for that date, so the biofoodies can place their orders. On the morning of the harvest date, the growers harvest their produce ready for collection. A van then goes round all the growers collecting the produce, which is put into a box for every biofoodie. The van then goes back to town and delivers all the boxes to the home of every biofoodie, literally picked and eaten the same day. There's a boxing charge including the payment system, which is automatically paid into a bank account managed by the Biofoodies group to cover the transport and any other costs of the Biofoodies group. So why not do what has made humans the most successful creature on earth and start forming groups?